Welcome to part 3 of my series on NIS 2. Be sure to check out parts 1 and 2, which you will find in the video description. After parts 1 and 2, we know whether we have to comply with NIS 2 and what needs to be done. In this video, I cover 12 concrete steps you should take in order to become compliant. The 12 steps are summarized here, and I will go through them one by one to explain them. First, obtain senior management support. Senior management is liable, according to NIS 2, so it should be in their interest to support you. However, that doesn't mean that support will be a given. You need to make clear that the company and the senior managers themselves pay the price for not complying. Second, set up project management. Such a complex task requires project management. You can't just wing it. You can get a professional project manager for the job, and be sure to have milestones, implementation steps, and clear responsibilities. Remember to not share responsibilities. You need one person to be responsible for each task. Otherwise, responsibilities get pushed around and no one does anything. 3. Perform initial training. NIS 2 loves cybersecurity training, so you should already plan and perform initial trainings, especially for those affected, so senior management and people in the project. I will cover the detailed training requirements in part 5 of this series. After this initial training, everyone should have a basic understanding on what cybersecurity is, what a risk-based approach is, which documents have to be prepared, which I will cover in part 4 of the series, and how to implement the necessary steps. 4. Write a top-level security policy. That means you write down what you want to achieve with cybersecurity, the main roles and responsibilities, and how you measure success. This is standard and best practice according to international standards such as the ISO 27001. 5. Define the risk management methodology. I touched on this point a few times. NIS 2 requires you to take a risk-based approach to cybersecurity. You can refer to the ISO standard 31000 for risk management guidelines. If you don't have risk managers in your company, it might be worthwhile to consult external risk managers for this task. You need to define how you want to perform risk management. Again, of course, you need a document that specifies the risk management methodology. 6. Actually perform the risk assessment and treatment. I will not go into detail on how to perform risk assessment, but roughly, you list your assets and find related threats and vulnerabilities. For cybersecurity threats, you can refer to the STRIDE model. Once you identified all risks, you need to quantify them. You do this by multiplying the likelihood of occurrence times the severity. In order to estimate both values, you need experts in both risk management and the underlying technology. After having identified the risks, you need to treat them. This can mean mitigating them by implementing appropriate measures, but it can also mean outsourcing them via, for example, insurances. 7. Create a risk treatment plan. You will probably have to implement new processes and maybe acquire new technology or personnel. Again, you need approval of senior management for that. The NIS 2 forces them to approve necessary measures, so make sure that your identified measures are really necessary. You can do that by performing and documenting a thorough analysis during the risk assessment. Yet another document is needed, the risk treatment plan, which lays out how to implement the risk mitigation. Again, it is vital to define responsibilities. One person per task with a substitute. Implement the appropriate measures is step 8. Once you have identified the risks, laid out how to treat them, got approval, you can now actually implement the cybersecurity measures. This means introducing new processes, activities, and new technology. In any case, we're back again at the focus on documentation. You have to write several cybersecurity policies and procedures in order to have clear rules and guidelines for these new processes. Set up supply chain security in step 9, as this is one of the key changes of NIS 2. You don't have to go through the whole supply chain, you just have to assess your direct suppliers. You have to assess their vulnerabilities and their software development procedures. You can do this with a formal risk assessment of your suppliers and finally selecting only reliable ones. Moreover, you should have built-in security clauses in your contracts with them. Step 10. Measure your success. If you remember from part 2, one of the responsibilities of the senior management is to oversee the cybersecurity implementation. In order to do that, you have to do 3 things. 1. Continuously measuring and monitoring cybersecurity to spot deviations from the plan. This is pretty straightforward. Second, periodic internal audits. They are in fact not mandated by NIS 2. However, other standards, such as the ISO 27001, mandate regular audits, and they are just a sensible thing to do. If you find out about malpractices within your company, it's much better than if external auditors do. Also, from a senior management's perspective, they are liable, so they should better know what's up. Don't overdo them, your employees will only get annoyed. 3. Periodic management review of all facts related to cybersecurity. This is supposed to be a formal meeting in which various reports, such as internal audits, get reviewed and decisions about cybersecurity are made or changed accordingly. Maybe the responsibilities have changed or the budget got cut. You never know, but you can react in those regular review meetings, and these are referred to as executive corrective actions. If the executive management sees something wrong, they can react and, most importantly, have to ensure that it doesn't happen again. It wouldn't be NIS 2 if we don't have documents for that as well. But again, I refer you to part 4 of this series for a concise list of documents needed. Step 11. Incident reporting. This is another important step, as we have seen in part 2. If an incident occurs, it has to be reported to the Cybersecurity Incident Response Team, which is usually a public authority, and to the users of your services. You need to set up a process that does that. You need to find the responsible people in your country and set up the appropriate reports, such as incident notification and progress reports. Step 12, and the final step of this video, continual training. Training was already part of the initial project management phase, but now you need to roll it out for the whole company. Here you have to select the right topics and what form of training is best suited for which employees. I refer you to part 5 of this video series, in which I will cover training extensively. But now you know what are the 12 concrete steps you can undertake in order to become compliant today. Stay tuned for part 4, in which I will detail the documents you need. See you then.